Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. First of all, I realize that there is a dog lying behind me in the background this morning, and actually, it's quite fitting. She may pop up any minute. But as I say, it's quite fitting because today I want to say a couple of things about animals. And I'll start with a show that I watched on TV recently, which was basically a camera crew followed around a group of RSPCA officers while they went about their work. And one of these officers had received a film that a neighbour had made on about her neighbour, and she filmed him in his garden punching, kicking, and beating a dog. So we go with this RSPCA officer to this guy's house to remove and rehome the dog. So good. Now, with her was a police officer, and the dog beater was summoned to court to answer charges of animal cruelty. He did, and he received a 12-month suspended sentence, a fine, and was barred from keeping animals. Now, what's interesting is that he was convicted of a very specific crime of causing unnecessary suffering. Now, meanwhile, we have at our disposal the ability to reduce drastically unnecessary animal suffering on an enormous scale. Specifically of farm animals or animals bred for slaughter. And that ability is called stunning. And it is simply what it sounds like. The animal is rendered unconscious by a bolt of electricity to the head and then is slaughtered afterwards. Now, the law says that animals should be stunned prior to slaughter, but in a ridiculous move that essentially renders the law pointless, there is a religious exemption to this requirement. So naturally enough, Islam has taken full advantage of this religious exemption to impose halal meat on everyone, whether they like it or not. Now, schools and other public facilities all over this country are routinely serve halal food without telling people. Contrary to any objections, all objections are dismissed. And they do it regardless of anyone's feelings or regardless of the size of the Muslim minority that use that facility. Now, some argue, again ridiculously, that somehow unstunned slaughter is more humane than stunned slaughter. Now, all of the major animal welfare groups agree that stunned slaughter is far preferable. But surely this is common sense in any case. Surely it's a given that it is preferable, if one has to choose, to be unconscious when their throat is cut rather than conscious and fully aware. But if common sense isn't enough, then there is much video evidence, and I will post a video after this on my Twitter account. I've watched it once, I don't intend to watch it again. It will show you halal slaughter, unstunned halal slaughter, and then it will show you stunned slaughter. And anyone with eyes can see which is the more humane. But recently, in a very, very rare show of courage, the Lancashire County Council passed a motion stating that it would ban all unstunned slaughtered meat from its schools, from schools across the county. Now, Muslim councillors, of course, objected, Labour, of course, telling the council how hurt their feelings were and what an insult this was to their faith. Oh no, how awful. But it wasn't to last. As usual, this show of courage was overturned. Last week, after the Lancashire Council of Mosques stuck its oar in and threatened legal action against Lancashire County Council, the council capitulated immediately and will now consult the imams about whether or not they can serve unstunned slaughtered meat. Now, it's very common for useless British politicians to consult imams on matters related to Islam so they can receive their orders. The imams will tell them what is and isn't acceptable and what they are and are not allowed to do. And what they'll be allowed to do is always what is dictated by Islam. Now, I often say that something is my personal opinion rather than for Britain policy. In this case, I can say that it is for Britain policy and will be for Britain policy that all unstunned slaughter in this country should be banned and that law enforced rigorously. This applies obviously to kosher as well. And if people are offended by this, well, it is really just too bad, because the majority of us are offended by this constant bowing down to demands for cruelty, and we're not allowed to object lest we be racists. The majority are tired of this, and we want this stuff banned. If a religion cannot find the compassion to stop this completely needless torture of defenseless animals, then I'm afraid that religion is the problem. And I and we as a party will say so. And I hear this ridiculous argument frequently from people. Well, it doesn't matter. The animal is dead. The animal is dead. What difference does it make how it dies? And if you're not a vegan or a vegetarian, you have no right to say anything about this. Utter tripe. Everyone, including meat eaters, have every right to object how an animal is slaughtered. And if it can be done quickly and painlessly, then it should be done quickly and painlessly. And if you think that it doesn't matter how the animal dies, then are you willing to say that it doesn't matter how you die? You don't care if it's painless and peaceful or full of terror and agony. The animal has the same right. If we are going to kill them for meat, the very, very least we can do is do it as humanely as possible. We should do it simply because we can do it. It's easy. Let's show some basic compassion and tell these religious bullies where to go. Well, that's it from me for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock with an update on what's going on in Brexit. Whatever is going on in Brexit, probably very little. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 11. Take care.
We will make America great again.